Hello everybody, Count MRVHS here with another episode of our 4th Age Rohan No Deaths run, or at least as close as you can get to a no deaths run in a Total War game. This is no faction eliminations allowed, and I'm seeing something very interesting here. We have North Rune actually seizing the initiative from Dorwinion and besieging Belligand. I noticed that they had two large armies right up around here on the borders staring at each other, and apparently in the last season, just between episodes here, there was some kind of battle, and it looks like Dorwinion got the worst of it. So we'll see if North Rune is able to take Belligand. That would be actually a pretty interesting turn of events, and I might be inclined to let them keep it. For now, I'm going to keep the king around here. We'll just see how this develops. In the south, we do have a settlement to take, though, for ourselves. This is Harad's settlement of Parchereb. Not doing too well in this part of the map, as you can see. Far Harad has seized a settlement from Harad, and they are typically under siege. Not this turn, but the previous one they were by Harandor in So I'm thinking this is going to be a good moment for us to jump on this. We have one ram. Hopefully that'll be enough. Let's see what's in the city. Okay, some cav and some light spears. The cav, of course, serpent guard, bodyguard unit, but this should be pretty straightforward. That said, we don't have a lot of infantry presence. We do have that one unit of spearmen mercenaries, which are a cut above the footmen of Harad that the enemy has inside the city. I don't really like their odds, however, against all of those units, including the cav, some of which are pretty formidable, and I don't like the idea of fighting in the streets with my own cav. The alternative to this, though, would be to wait around for a while, and I'd rather just go ahead and get the siege aspect over with before Harad can muster a big army and send it my way. So I think one thing we can do is use our bodyguard unit carefully, because these guys are really fantastic. We absolutely do not want to lose him. He's got to stay alive. But the unit here, the bodyguard, is some of the best. They frighten the nearby enemy. They're effective against armor, and they've got great stats. So I'd like to use this. We have to take a lot of care to make sure that he doesn't fall. Looking at the walls here, I guess we could go right through the gate, but that tends to be where the strongest towers are located. I like better the idea of going like over here and maybe taking a slightly longer approach, but this actually will also get me a quicker route into the city and probably under less tower fire, so I think that's what I'm going to do. And just giving this unit a fairly long and roundabout march order to avoid the tower fire here. I can see that we have a single unit. This is their infantry that is stationed on top of the walls here, way out of our way. Looks like the bodyguard's taking up a position midway between these other two horsemen of the Harnan. Very good unit again. Alright, I think we're going to make it without any losses. What I'll want to do is capture this tower, and then I'll bring the other cavalry around. And having the cavalry archers as well as the riders of the king's house will hopefully scare away the footmen if they choose to melee with my mercenary Southron spears. There goes the wall.
Our troops should be ordered forward.
I guess we could try our luck against these horsemen of the Harnan, but if that goes badly, we don't really have any recourse. I'm going to go ahead and grab all of the horse archers. We'll get them close, and we'll try to get a few easy kills on these horsemen of the Harnan. They're going to pull away, which is good. Let's see if we can just sort of head in here. Alright, they are going to attack us. Okay, sure. Just throw everybody in. This is really, really a dumb idea, but that actually worked out pretty well. Looks like we didn't lose too many, but let's pull these guys back. And you know what? Let's get everybody over here. We're taking a lot of losses. I'm kind of rushing, I have to admit. Send in the bodyguard. Alright, we're actually going to catch that unit. The Serpent Black, the bodyguard of our own unit, rushes in and doing pretty well. They're losing heavily and shaken. Yeah, these mercenary Southron spears are pretty decent, actually. Okay, speaking of spears, we do have some other enemy units approaching. But I'm not sure that I need any of these other units. And in fact, I don't even care too much about killing the enemy general, at least at this point. Let's get the other archers in, so we'll start hitting them from the back. Alright, I think we might be able to do some good against this unit, even though this is a terrible idea typically. Wow, we actually killed the enemy general with arrow fire. Excellent job, bowmen of, was it Rittermark's scouts? Yeah, this footman of Harad unit is now wavering with the loss of the general. Our own general is back there, well away from the scrum, so I'm feeling pretty good about letting his men do a lot of fighting here. Switch to swords, I guess. Alright, wavering. Now the plan for the other units here is to do the same thing. We'll kind of get our spears set up. We'll call them out with archers and let our bodyguard sort of clean up. It looks like we took a couple of losses in that fight. May have been due to some friendly fire, not really sure. Alright, and that's it for those, that other unit of Horsemen of the Harnan, the last one remaining. We can just pull them out of the square and we should have the city. Alright, they're coming towards us, so we want to start pulling back. Hear the sounds of that charge kicking in. And they're thinking better of it. Are shooting them down a little bit, and they're deciding to attack our bowmen, it looks like. We can get a nice sort of catch with a spearman, maybe. It looks like we are going to catch up to them, or they're going to decide to melee with us, so let's bring our bodyguard in. This is a bit, well, it's not great, although we are going to get a charge. I'm actually kind of shocked. That's it. All right, we'll end the battle here. And a clear victory. We lost about 50 or so men. Victory! And yes, indeed, that is Parcharib taken. And this is a settlement that I am sorely tempted to lay desolate. So I think I will. It's not going to be pretty. Oh, geez. Can we even hold it? Well. Let's see. If there are any mercenaries available, I don't think I can get out here and then get back to the city. That said, we might be better off not to have our general inside the city anyway. This is a tiny, tiny force of Harad, only 3 units. Captain. I think what I might do is just set this army over here, right on the territory of some very, very nice mercenaries. So while we're in this part of the map, we can take advantage of the excellent mercenary pool that is available in Khand. That comprises this territory of Low Khand, and then pretty much every settlement to the east and slightly northeast of that location. We've got mercenary Dragon Shield Riders over here, extremely expensive with an upkeep of 840 a turn, but they can frighten the nearby enemy. They've got a good defense. They've got a decent melee and a missile attack and a charge bonus. So a good unit all around. For more massed, maneuverable archery, we have the Mercenary Steppe Outriders. Quite a steal, actually, at 170 a turn. And then for some infantry variety, some Variag Mercenaries. 600 a turn, but effective against armor. So I think what I will try to do, let's see, we were at 40%. I'm not sure if we can actually hold this. I was thinking, well, we could take this and potentially keep it and gradually build it up, and this would be our base in the region. But sadly, I don't think that's going to work, in part because we have such a small army. If you look at just the banner size here, we don't have a lot of men. Our units are, of course, cavalry, and so that means we're going to be dealing with smaller unit sizes than if we had infantry. And the problem with that is that it's not going to be good in terms of garrison size for the purposes of maintaining order. So to partly deal with that, I think we'll go ahead and recruit all of these units. That is going to hurt our income a little bit, but we're still projected to make over 10,000 a turn. And otherwise, I think we'll keep everything else here more or less intact. Some of these units will get merged with each other. We'll keep Parchereb for now, and maybe I'll see if I can gift it to a faction that I might be worried about. Because as we know from the last episode, there is a war between Khand and Farharad, and it kind of looks like Farharad is coming off better. And it might be interesting to see if Khand would like to have Parchereb to hold it, to kind of maintain their position. Khand has a sort of a difficult position on the map because their units are mostly ranged. And as you know from Rome Total War, ranged units tend to perform poorly on auto-resolve. So Khand tends to not grow into a huge empire over the course of most campaigns. So we might help them along here a little bit.
Yes.
So let's do that. Let's send the emissary over. And I would like to give you a province. That will be Parchereb. And I would also like to offer you a single payment. I'm going to give you 2,000 gold. We're going to see if this works. It may not, but this is typically what you want to do to gift the AI a settlement to ensure that they'll take it. You want to make sure a few things are happening. You want to make sure that you do not have any units of your own inside the settlement that you're trying to give away. My armies are just over the border, so that should be fine. Armies that are inside settlements do not count for the purposes of this this negotiation. They don't count as being inside the province territory. So if we gift the settlement of Parchereb, they should be fine with that. The other thing we want to do, unfortunately, is give them money as well, and we'll offer it as a gift. And we've given them a bit of an edge in the war against the Southrons. Honestly, if it comes to fighting Khand versus Farharad, I think I'd prefer to fight Khand. Farharad, it does have some spear units. It's got some other stuff going on I'd rather not deal with. With this army, though, I think we now want to move down into the Farharad region. Maybe we can slap this army away. And we do have some excellent mercenaries down here, too. Mercenary Swirting Skirmishers. Okay. These guys are the Mumakil killers. Now, we do not necessarily need to worry about killing elephants anymore. We faced them once. Maybe we won't have to face them again. But these are a great unit anyway. They're very cheap, effective against armor, and frighten nearby enemy infantry. Decent in melee as well as at range. So I want to make room for these guys. Although, you know, looking at what we have here, I think we'll be okay. I don't think they're going anywhere. And so we can just get them later. Our next move with this army is going to be to move back west. I think maybe Karenbad would be a place that we can attempt to take and maybe hold. It's got some nice walls. It's a chief city. We could build unlimited here. So maybe we'll give this a shot. In other news, we get a recent marriage offer or coming of age of this nobleman in Edoras. And we're moving him out of the city, which is actually helping our income a little bit. And we've been basically feeding him the units that we've been training across the realm. This is going to be a more mixed force than we've seen. Earlier in the campaign, I was basically limiting myself to cavalry. But here we're doing a mix. of spears. We've got some shields of the mark, some axes of the mark, and a bunch of archers. We've got 4 units of foot archers. I might even go for a couple more. Because as was pointed out to me in the comments, we do have a lot to worry about in the northwest part of the map. The Shire is probably on my radar as the most concerning faction, because once one faction, Adunabar, for example, takes over in the north, basically takes Numenast, takes Bree, and if they start to win against Tharbad, then the Shire is going to be next on the chopping block. So I want to make sure that I have a force that's somewhere in the area to deal with that. I think I can get an army up, somewhere in this region to serve as a good, just a springboard for any other invasions I may need to contemplate to make sure everybody's getting along. And Bree would be nice to get. 3 ways would be an interesting position. I don't really want to take Tharbad, I don't think, although that actually might be kind of nice, and then I could leave them some territory around me. But I don't want to border Dunland any more than I can possibly help it. You don't want to completely surround another AI faction, or they will go to war with you. So we'll see, but we'll keep getting this army together and send it to the north. All right, Harad actually wants a ceasefire. In my opinion, this is a good opportunity to ask for something in return. And so, let's ask for something stupid. Give province. We could even ask for Umbar. Do I dare? Well, I think Umbar, as much as that would be nice to have, the problem with that is it's kind of far away from all of their fronts, and I want to maintain sort of a centralized position here. So I think Karenbad is the one I am going to ask for. Now, I will offer you money for it. Let's see, 5,000. No, it's too generous, they say. So we're still at war. Well, that's fine. I'm going to get it anyway. Okay, so I actually think I have a pretty decent assembly of troops here to head north. You want to leave some space for mercenaries you're going to find, and so we'll do that. Now, I haven't given any thought to my route. I think, though, my options are pretty limited. I can either go this way, past the outpost of Dol Baran, or I could go this way, north, and that means going up through the Anduin Vale, either daring the elven woods of Lorien, which is a terribly bad idea. You're at risk of being ambushed and attacked by the elves, even if you're on good terms with them. They don't like trespassers. And this is also just seems like a very, very long route to take. In some ways, it might be the more epic, fun route, but I also think it would be the longer one. So I think going north through Dunland's territory is probably the way to go. They're not going to be happy about it, but if they want to start something, it's better to start while I've got an army in the area anyway. Looking over to Dorwinion, we can see that I think we have that scenario I've been waiting for. We've got an army standing right outside of Belagant, and I've got an army that could rush over there. Let's bring my emissary over just to make sure there's not any surprises in the woods or other large armies right nearby that could offer aid. Okay. So we want to get right here and attack. Now, I'm seeing some Easterlings as well who seem poised to move towards Belagant. Looks, of course, like Northrune's assault failed, but what it succeeded at was weakening the garrison. If we take a look, there's not much here. They do still have their ruler, and so it's king against king. They've got some good units here. Dorwinion men-at-arms are actually extremely solid swordsmen, capable of a shield wall, good morale. And Dorwinion Watch are one of my favorite units in some ways. I almost never play Dorwinion, but this unit is just awesome. So this is going to be a problem for our almost exclusively cavalry army. But it's not necessarily going to be as big of a problem if we're fighting them in the field. Let's see what we have available for mercenaries in the area. Yeah, right. Rider mercenaries are okay. I'm not sure if they're going to take this fight, though. They may just withdraw. And they're actually going to take it. And the balance of power bar shows that it is much more even than I would have expected. Well, that's actually very good news. Oh, they've got another unit of Dorwinion Watch here. Okay, great. Some spearmen with throwing spears. This will be fun. All right, so we do have some trees right in front of us, but a nice clear path over towards the east, which is pretty much where the reinforcements are going to be coming from and the major army. I can't quite see the settlement yet. Belligant is not showing up for me, I don't think. But it's probably somewhere over here, maybe somewhere slightly to the northeast. I'm going to pretty much turn to face that army. And I think I want to leave a bunch of my men hidden. This is, I don't know if this really makes that much of an impact, but it feels like it should. Basically what I'm doing is sort of a psychological game with the AI. What I see sometimes is that when the AI gets into a position on the battle map when they can see your forces or your reinforcements or the size of your army, it looks as though they then make a decision to turn and leave the battle. And I don't want this happening. I want this army to come at me and for me to destroy it, kill the king, and wipe out just about everybody else. If I can do that, then I can walk into the city without a siege. I also have to defeat this army as well. Since I'm the attacker, they can afford to sit back and wait, but they're actually not doing that, which is great news. And probably that has to do with the fact that so many of my men are hiding in the woods. But the moment they all come out, the AI can sort of make its calculation. This is at least how I imagine it to be working. And then decide, you know what, that's a much bigger army than we thought on the campaign map, so we're going to withdraw. I'm not sure if that's how it actually works, but that's how it feels like it works. Here's these Dorwinion Watch. Beautiful unit. Going to tire themselves out on the way. And then they've got their Rovanian Foresters, which is actually the bodyguard or the general or captain's unit. And still in the corner here, but they are approaching, is the main force, the garrison. They've got some foresters. They also have some axemen of Rovanion back here. Here's the men-at-arms of Dorwinion. Very similar in some ways to the style of some of Gondor's units. We've got some more spear types, Dorwinion Watch, more axemen, and then the bodyguard unit, a very strong cavalry unit, but without some of the punch of my own cav. Even my light cav is going to do more damage to riders than these guys will. Where these guys are good at is sort of sticking around in melee and having good defense. So you think of the Dorwinion nobles as kind of like mounted infantry, right? You sort of get them to a place and they stick around and support the other fighters, but they're not really there to deliver a shock. Let's see what we've got to match up against them. We've got our Rohan spears, our light troops, some archers. Now I'm thinking that maybe I don't want these guys to fire at will. I want them to surprise the enemy. These guys can actually fire at will. Let's do that. We've got our Rittermark spears in this group, and so I think that's a good place for them. I'll send them over here, and my king can head over there as well. Let's get the bowmen kind of out and around to sort of get behind those garrison troops and chase down routers. And we've got our infantry up here, which is certainly not elite. Some of the very lightest infantry. Okay, Riders of the Mark. I think we will go ahead and put these guys to fire at will now. Rohan spears are, or were hiding. Riders of the Mark are actually shockingly good at hiding. We'll close in on the king with these light Rohan spears. And let's hit the Rovanian axemen with these other units. Down he goes. we are close to a gross melee here. Yep, Rohan Spears are actually winning against those Dorwinion Watch, which is... can't be right, can it? Alright, and we've got a general rout happening now. Well, we are taking some losses here. Let's go and take out those Ravanian Axemen. Alright, there's the Ravanian Foresters. Nowhere to run for them. Alright, I should probably get my king out of here. Alright, their general's unit has regrouped, but it will not survive the battlefield. Dorwinion Watch losing. Let's hit those guys again. And bring these units over. Yep, they're beating our Rittermark Scouts, which are horse archers, so I don't know why we're even in that fight, but there we go. Took out their foresters, and we'll just kind of circle around. Alright, let's hit those Dorwinion nobles again, clean them out completely. And I guess we need to bring the other cavalry around. Men-at-arms are losing. Let's pull back. Dorwinion nobles are shockingly fast. There they go, routing again, though. Take out those Ravanian foresters and pull away because I want to make sure that that we can get these guys in a nice charge. Alright, I just heard them give the flee order. Dorwinion Watch are marching away, it looks like. We are throwing some javelins at them. And they're wavering, so I think this will be it. We'll hit the men-at-arms in the back with the king's riders of the king's house, and there go the Dorwinion Watch. This guy may just make it off the field. We'll see if my riders catch him. They do, and that should be it. We've wiped out both of those armies, and so that should mean, if we have the movement points for it, we can walk right into Belligant. All right, a nice and empty city. The problem is we don't have a lot of movement points. So, I think what we have to do... The problem is, okay, so the infantry are slowing me down. So I need to take everybody who's not infantry.
Yes, Captain. Yes, Captain. Orders,
Captain.
sir.
Right? And we'll set them like... We'll just like literally move one tile.
Leaving the army.
And then you can still hit the city and walk in. All right, fantastic. Now, I don't know exactly what the public order situation is in here. It's a red face. These are Northmen, so they're going to be in the similar sort of culture to ours. It's ways to the west like us, so that should be good. I'd rather not completely deplete the population, and this is right on the line for me. When you start to see, you know, in the upper thousands, like, you know, like 4,000 population or so, I feel more comfortable laying desolate with that size. When it's down around 2,000, though, it kind of feels like we're going to be leaving nothing here. But in the interest of just being sure, let's do it. We've got 750 men left in the settlement here. And so now we can make a lot of the money back that we have spent in, you know, various diplomacies. So what did we just spend? 2,000 gifting a settlement to Khand, right? Something along those lines. Or maybe it's closer to 5,000. Well, we're going to make that all back. So here goes this. Certainly we're going to keep the king's feasts, keep the market, keep the harbor for sure. Basically everything here is doing us some good. We will need to replace this. So I guess there's no point in waiting. We can do that right now. And that'll eventually get the public order going. So now we can bring these guys back into the settlement. So we very possibly did not need to, you know, destroy that many people. But this was good. I think it eliminated some of the stronger units that were available to Dorwinion. And just laying the place desolate is kind of a nice insurance move, because it means that we're not going to be dealing with unrest for the foreseeable future. Well, with all of that happening in the northeast, I must have missed the Reunited Kingdom actually taking Calenhad, and so the war in this region is looking quite good for them. There is a army of Harads that's been roaming around, but it looks like it's gotten beaten back a little bit by the Reunited Kingdom, so I don't think it's going to accomplish a whole lot. And there are some fairly large garrisons and armies moving around in Gondor as well. Hopefully Harad will keep it up. But speaking of Harad, it's time for us to keep moving on them. Let's see. I do want to keep an eye on this because while wow, it's a full garrison. While it's not under siege currently, that could, of course, change. So we're going to move this army over, let's see, as close to Calenhad as we can get it, I suppose.
Forward! Out of move, sir.
And since we're crossing the border in the next turn, and I'm not quite sure if this region has the same mercenaries as are available over here, I think I will go ahead and grab those 2 mercenary swording skirmishers. They've made some room for them in the army here, and then we'll keep moving next couple of turns over towards Carenbad.
Onward! Onward!
And in Hornburg, I always like to go for gems. It just seems to make more sense given the glittering caves and all. So that's going to bring us in a few hundred extra trade income at the cost of some very, very minimal land tax. And we're actually attacked by a host of the Empire of Harad in the desert. This is our 41-man unit of mercenaries against 65 Haradwaith riders. You know what? Let's do it. Yes, this is the noble green captain and the wonderful red of the mercenary Southron spears. Like peanut butter and jelly. Just looks great. So we'll, I think we'll do exactly this. I guess we could do something kind of clever and sort of hide a flank up here. Yeah, let's actually do that. We'll see what they do. There are rather a lot of them, and they may certainly overwhelm our spear line. But if we're sort of tied up against this this part of the terrain, we might be okay. Now, I'm sure that the AI of Harad had another force in the area with not just one unit, but multiple that they could have sent against me. But again, I think what the AI tends to do is send roughly even numbers most of the time. All right, so here they're approaching. Trying to figure out what to do. We'll see if they get a charge on us. I'm actually not sure if they will. And it looks like they will. So let's sort of push in. And they lost 10 men immediately. I'm actually shocked by that. Losing heavily. They started with 65. They're down to 48. Wow. Good job. All right, all right. Hold your positions. They're going to come back again, but I'm thinking, I don't know if we're going to form up in time. No, we took some losses there. Down to 41. So I'm using guard mode. I do not know if that has much of an impact on this. All right. Hurry up. Back into formation. They're going to do another charge. We're not going to be formed up. And we're holding better than I expected, honestly. We're back down to around even numbers. Now we outnumber them. Wow. All right. Just keep there. They're going to do one more charge, and then we'll break them. Oh, are they going to try to flank?
Forward! Forward! Quickly!
All right, you know what? Let's charge in. Deny them the charge. They're losing heavily. now they're winning. It's still very even. I'm honestly not sure how this is going to go. All right. Maybe we made a mistake in pulling out of formation. They're going to charge again. 16 to 15, 14. Okay, I think they got this. They pulled us out of formation and chopped us down. Yeah, we're down to 6-5. I don't see we're gonna make it out of this. Maybe if we get lucky and kill the captain, but nope, there it goes. Well, that was right down to the wire. I probably could have done a lot better if I just stayed put. But it's so hard when they pull away like that. There's a tendency for your men to follow them and then thus get out of formation. That was interesting. I have to admit, I'm still not sure when you're supposed to use guard formation, apart from really obvious cases like I'm guarding a bridge and I don't ever want to leave this position. So that seemed to work pretty well, though. Okay, we've got North Rune. North Rune is extremely happy with me. They want to offer an alliance, trade rights, and map information. Tell you what, we'll do trade. I don't really want anything else just yet. I can find your map information, but we'll just trade. Now, I think they need to take Belligant to win, so, you know, we may be fighting them relatively soon. Interestingly, North Rune, as soon as we took Belligant, wanted an alliance with me very badly, and signed a ceasefire with Dorwinion. So now these two factions are not at war. And I've pulled the Reunited Kingdom into war with Dorwinion because they're going to follow me into every crazy war I get into in the course of this campaign. So we might need to think about how we want to handle this. Maybe we can get a peace with Dorwinion, since they're not at war with anybody at the moment. You know, other than me and the Reunited Kingdom. I don't really want any more of their territory. I'm totally fine with them having these two settlements if I've got Belligant. So let's get my emissary here. Who's the best one? Yeah, okay. We'll send Baldor of Woldburg. He's at least tactful. And we'll see if there's any chance of a ceasefire. I'm not sure that they'll take it. But, you know, we will also give you a little bit of a bonus, like a war indemnity. Is that what it is? Okay, so no, they don't want peace. Well, that's fine. We can maybe get them as a protectorate at some point in the future. For now, I'm happy to leave them if they're not going to, you know, make any trouble. They may make trouble for me by coming down to attack Belligant immediately, but this is, I think, a good enough settlement. Before we lose the king, let's go and grab that unit of mercenaries and get them back inside. Hopefully we can do a little building around here, but I think we should be in a good position to deal with whatever Dorwinion is going to be able to throw at me. They're not going to be making their high-tier stuff anymore. Now that we have Belligant, we do share a border with the dwarves, and so I wouldn't mind getting a bit of trade income off of them as well. We'll see if they'll pay for it, actually. I don't mind, you know, trying to wring a few extra gold coins out of the dwarves' hands at this point, because they're, again, unlikely to really get involved in a meaningful way with any of the wars that we're going to be dealing with. What I am a little bit worried about, of course, is Rune, but we may as well try to stop them where they are rather than worrying about it later. It looks like they've already pushed westward south of Nerigzagil, and so they could be causing problems for Rovanion at some point. And let's see if they're doing anything at the moment in terms of conflicts. I don't believe so. They're just at war with the dwarves and with Dale, but that's just in a nominal sense. There's nothing they can actually really do just yet. We may see some Rune hosts try to besiege Nerigzagil. More power to them if they do. But otherwise, I think we'll let them lie. although they probably will attack us at some point in the near future. Over in the west, though, let's see if we can begin to move our armies through Dunland's territory. We already have a decent amount of infantry units, so getting these mercenaries wouldn't really slow us down. On the other hand, I don't know that we need them yet, but I guess it's better to be safe. In case we get attacked, Dunland decides they don't want to be at peace with us anymore, we'll have more men. They'll gradually be moving through these zones of control and out. Well, actually, now that we own Belligant, I think it's time to take this Aldor of Edoras guy and head him over into the northeast, into that part of the map. He does have a unit of Rovanian Ranger mercenaries that he grabbed from the Brownlands, and so if we keep going in this direction, he can pick up a few other units, and it's these infantry types that I'd like to have in Belligant. Of course, our native cavalry is going to be, in decent shape. It's going to be fine, but we're going to want some infantry, some units to kind of hold the walls, especially archers, which I sadly neglected to bring. And so those can serve as good garrison units while the rest of the army's out marching around. And on the AI's turn, Rune is approaching with an offer of trade rights. You know what? I will go ahead, even though I don't trust Rune at all, but I'll ask for a little bit of cash, and we'll see if they'll pay it out. All right, they accept. Let's see if they attack me this turn. No, okay. The AI is showing some surprising restraint. Okay, we have a new war, this time Tharbad attacking Adunabar. Tharbad looks like it's doing fairly well. It's expanded north of the, the Glanduin, Swanfleet, is that what that is? And so it's captured these two settlements. Not that this is really that difficult to do, but it has taken them, and it has moved a little bit to the west on this part of the map, north of the Grey Flood as well. And their opening move in the war has been a very good one to attack three ways, and it looks like they're going to take it. Now, Adunabar does start with some pretty significant armies that are added at the beginning of the first or second turn, if you're playing as certain factions. Since I'm playing as Rohan, I think that the way we've scripted it is so that Adunabar is stronger than if I were playing, say, Dunland, where Adunabar is my ally. The goal in the mod is typically to make things more challenging for the player, so a strong Adunabar in the north would fit that bill. That said, Tharbad sometimes does extremely well in Eriador, so they are a faction that I am a little worried about because they have some units that would be difficult for me to deal with. Pikemen, they've got some longbowmen as well eventually, so they've got some robust and numerous units, and their infantry is really a match for mine in a lot of ways. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Well, that's why we're getting the army eventually up there. It's going to take us a few seasons before we can deal with this, the zones of control, but that's the plan. And as we move through the Brownlands, Aldor of Edoras is noticing some more mercenaries. Excellent. We're going to get a little collection of Rovanian Ranger mercenaries on our route to the northeast. Yeah, it looks like Dorwinion does want to have one more go at us. And let's see if we can get an emissary a little bit closer, maybe to see some other units. Oh, yeah. So this is about a half stack. It's similar, but slightly smaller than our own. This is a noble, not the king, not the heir. And most of their units are really not that worrisome, but I do see some halberdiers. Dorwinion halberdiers are quite solid. We do have enough archers and horse archers and some javelins that I think would be okay if it came to it. So I guess we'll have to see. I think for now, I might want to leave this army inside the settlement, and we'll just see what they do. Maybe I'll go ahead and rearrange these units. And looking ahead to what we can expect for recruitment in Belligant, assuming we can hold it, is a lot of our own native troops. We just queued up a fiefdom dominion, which is very interesting that Rohan gets all this area of Rovanian as a fiefdom, meaning that we get some local levies, the spearmen and the light cav, but then we get a lot of native recruitment all the way up to riders of the mark and shields of the mark for infantry. So we are actually in a very good position here with some decent variety, some decent infantry and cavalry. Here in the south, though, I just went to smack away this tiny army of Harad, and surprisingly, they are going to take the fight. They've got a couple of units of Spearmen of the Serpent, some Red Sand Archers, Swords of Harad. You know what I think is going on here, though? I don't think they're going to stick around. I think as soon as the battle commences, they're going to actually withdraw all their troops. What they're probably going to do then is move them back into the city. Maybe they'll go to the border of this province. Well, let's see if they actually stick around. I'm not even going to really bother with setting this battle up. We'll rush the horse archers around the sides here. Looks like the Red Sand Archers are coming on. So we'll lose a few to that arrow fire. But after that, we're going to basically have this army surrounded. Swords of Harad are really, in some ways, a tricky unit to deal with, though. I mean, I'm actually shocked that they seem like they're going to fight. They're not running away. So here's our mercenary Harandor riders. We've got Dragon Shield Riders, which are a fear-causing unit. Right, Spears of the Serpent are pursuing right into our cavalry, and we're going to rout them instantly with our mercenary Harandor units. Excellent. Let's pull back. Let's get some even more fear-causing units in here. And here's the problem, right there. Swords of Harad, just getting kill after kill because my my step-out riders are not auto skirmishing away. They're close enough to throw the javelins, but not so close as to trigger the auto skirmish. So that's one of the most annoying things about dealing with these Swords of Harad. You just cannot leave them. You have to be on top of your micromanagement. Alright, I just heard the fallback order. And this is kind of what I was worried about. On the other hand, you know what? Let's just screw them, throw everybody in. A lot of these units are routing already. Swords of Harad are shaken. Heard the retreat order from the Spearmen of the Serpent. There goes everybody. So we're actually going to eliminate this stack. Not much of a stack, but honestly, yeah, I think that'll be sufficient. Okay, so we won that one. Now it would also be nice to eliminate this army. What is this? Just the single unit of riders? It's gotta be. So we'll take a couple units of cav and do that while the rest of the army puts this under siege. Let's bring my other emissary down just to see if there are supporting units on the way. It doesn't look like it. So if we can do this, let's just take everything but the step-out riders. Hit this army, and where are you going to go? Back there. Yeah, just literally 16 men. Put this under siege. It's got some stone walls, so we'll have to go with some ladders and towers. Actually, you know, all of this is... we're not going to need all of it because we only have like 3 units of infantry, but we'll build it. Let's clean this up, and then we'll see what the next turn brings. Really not too much I'm worried about with this battle. There's 16 or 17 with the captain of these Herodwaith riders. They are fast, though. I believe they can catch step outriders. which is pretty surprising. So that's why I'm walking these guys rather than risking them getting tired. It's probably a bit overkill to be this worried about it, but why not, right? I do like this unit, and I hate to see them take losses. So we're going to try to preserve him, especially since we're so far from conned. Alright, yeah, we're just going to shoot these guys down. They may withdraw, but I don't think they're going to get anywhere. That's the end of that. And so we have basically made the siege safe. Unless there's another Haradrian army sticking around somewhere, we shouldn't have to deal with getting smacked from behind by Harad.
Victory!
Captain.
And we've got enough movement points to bring this army down to support the siege. Excellent. So in the AI's turn here, we see Dale trying to shake us down for a bit of trade money. I'm not interested in that at all. We don't share any borders with them, and I have no interest in paying them money. They tend to be very strong in the north. Predictably, Dorwinion puts us under siege in Belligant, so we will be sallying to deal with that. Otherwise, no action. In the south, Harad has not done anything to us, so we will be in a position then to assault this turn if we want. We've got all of our rams and ladders and so on, and we've got 3 men to push these 4 things, so we'll have to make some decisions. But in any case, folks, I think that is where we will leave this episode. We are in a pretty good place in the south. If we can capture this and then move further to the west before Harandor moves on Harad and takes Umbar for itself, then we can kind of protect these factions, act as a buffer between Far Harad and Harandor, and generally make sure things in the south are proceeding in a reasonable way. Next season, of course, we will also be sallying out and attacking this army of Dorwinion, and probably dealing a lot of damage to them, as these are some of their early units that they still have. Speaking of still having, we've still got the benefit of our king here, who is old. The vigor of youth is now behind this man, but there is life in him yet, and hopefully he will not die in the first spear thrust of the upcoming battle. I hope you will join me for that. Until then, take care.